All right, so are you ready to explore some really wild ideas? We got a ton of material about Dan Winter this time,
Oh, yeah.
a researcher who really dives headfirst into the intersection of science, spirituality, and technology.
Yeah.
And we're talking big concepts here, immortality, lucid dreaming, even the manipulation of time.
Right.
Really far out there stuff. And we've got discussions featuring Winter himself and perspectives from a bunch of other experts. So get ready for a seriously mind-bending deep dive.
What I think is really fascinating about Dan Winter is that he doesn't just throw out these kind of mystical ideas.
Yeah.
He really tries to ground them in scientific principles,
Yeah.
especially physics and electromagnetism.
It's like asking, can we find actual scientific explanations for the things that we consider purely spiritual?
Yeah.
What if immortality isn't just this far-off concept, but an actual state of being, something we could achieve through manipulating energy and consciousness?
Right. And a key idea, I think, that keeps coming up in these sources is this idea of an immortal spirit.
Okay.
Not necessarily an immortal physical body.
Right.
So he believes that this ties into navigating different planes of reality,
Okay.
which he relates to the electron shells of monoatomic gold. You might know these as the planes of Sharon from Hebrew texts.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Is he suggesting that these different planes of existence have an actual physical structure
Exactly.
and that gold somehow plays a role?
Exactly.
Okay.
And it gets even wilder.
Okay.
He brings up this story about Sai Baba,
Mm-hmm.
who supposedly materialized this white powder.
Okay.
And when they analyzed this powder, it turned out to be monoatomic gold.
Wow.
This substance is also linked to the idea of the Philosopher's Stone,
Oh, wow.
this legendary alchemical substance,
Right.
believed to hold the key to immortality and transmutation.
So we're talking about a real physical substance that has the potential to extend life and change reality.
Yes.
This sounds like straight out of science fiction.
I know.
So how does this tie back into this idea of achieving an immortal spirit?
So this is where he connects it back to physics.
Okay.
Specifically, the concepts of charge distribution and implosion.
Okay.
So he suggests that achieving a certain level of energetic coherence,
Okay.
think of it like getting all of your energy perfectly aligned and focused, that this could allow consciousness to move between these different planes of existence.
Huh.
And this, he believes, is how you achieve a form of spiritual immortality.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, the idea is that by aligning our energy in a specific way, we can unlock a deeper understanding of reality.
Yeah.
Maybe even achieve a form of immortality. That's a lot to unpack.
It is. And this idea of mastering your own energy and consciousness
Yeah.
is a theme that runs through a lot of his work.
Okay.
And in fact, it connects to another really intriguing topic. He explores lucid dreaming.
Lucid dreaming.
Okay.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, where you're aware that you're dreaming.
Right. You can control your dream.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with immortality?
He sees lucid dreaming as a way of manipulating your own consciousness.
Okay.
It's like a skill
Okay.
that could potentially help you navigate what he calls the afterlife.
Hold on. Are we saying there's a connection between how we dream and what happens after we die?
That's exactly what he's suggesting.
Wow.
And he brings up the work of John Charles Moyans,
Okay.
this researcher who had a lucid dream experience.
Yeah.
That transformed into what he described as a Stargate portal.
A Stargate portal.
In a dream.
That escalated quickly.
I know.
Okay.
So where does the science come in?
Yeah. Where's the science?
Well, he argues that the same forces that might create something like a Stargate,
Right.
which we would have to assume involves intense energy and maybe even bending time and space,
Yeah.
are also at play in a much subtler way when we lucid dream.
Interesting.
So learning to control our dreams
Yeah.
could be like training for navigating other realities,
Oh, okay.
including what might exist after death.
So mastering lucid dreaming could be like training for the ultimate journey.
It could be.
That's a pretty mind-blowing idea.
It is.
How does this all relate to physics, though?
So that's where his ideas about the nature of time come into play.
Okay.
He defines time as a name for spin rate relative to a focal point.
Okay.
Basically, he's saying time isn't this straight line we usually imagine, but something more like swirling dynamic flow.
Okay, so I'm trying to picture the spin rate so time can speed up or slow down.
Exactly.
Okay.
Think of it like a river.
Okay.
In some places, it flows smoothly. In other places, it becomes rapid and turbulent.
Mm-hmm.
He suggests that certain points in time might have a higher spin rate.
Okay.
Things happen faster, maybe even allowing for seemingly impossible events.
Interesting.
He points to phenomena like cold fusion, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't.
So cold fusion working inconsistently could be due to these fluctuations in time.
That's his hypothesis.
Wow.
He even suggests that specific points on Earth where magnetic lines intersect can influence things like nuclear critical mass.
Wow.
This is because these points create intense centripetal force, that inward pull towards the center,
Okay.
which he believes affects the very flow of time and energy.
So this is all incredibly complex, but I'm starting to see how these different ideas, immortality, lucid dreaming, and the manipulation of time could all be connected through this idea of energy and its influence on reality. That's a key insight.
And to illustrate this connection even further, the sources introduce this really fascinating ancient practice called Agnihotra.
Agnihotra?
Yeah, Agnihotra.
I've never heard of that.
It's a ritual involving lighting a fire at precise sunrise and sunset within a pyramid shape.
Okay.
This is said to create a powerful, implosive plasma field that could potentially affect the flow of time.
Wait, a fire ritual that messes with time?
No.
Are you kidding?
It sounds incredible.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is that survivors of the Bhopal and Nagasaki disasters reportedly used Agnihotra to counteract the negative effects of radiation.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Are you saying they used an ancient fire ritual to heal from radiation poisoning?
That's what they say.
That's unbelievable.
And there's even a story about someone witnessing Agnihotra in Poland.
Okay.
The surrounding area was desolate and barren, but the farm practicing Agnihotra was thriving, like a Garden of Eden.
So they're saying this fire ritual not only helped people heal, but also created like an area of abundance in a devastated landscape.
Right.
That's mind-blowing.
It is.
This is all starting to sound like magic, but explained through science.
It really is.
Yeah.
A powerful image.
It is.
And this brings us back to Dan Winter's emphasis on understanding centripetal forces.
Okay.
The forces that pull things towards the center.
Right.
So he believes that truly grasping why an apple falls from a tree is fundamental to understanding life itself, consciousness, and even negentropy.
Okay.
The opposite of entropy or decay.
Okay, hold on. He's saying the same force that makes an apple fall from a tree is responsible for creating life and consciousness.
That's what he says.
That's a pretty bold statement.
It is. And he is very critical of mainstream science for, in his view, not fully understanding these fundamental forces.
That's a strong critique of the scientific community. I have to admit, after hearing all of this, I'm starting to wonder if we are missing something big here.
Well, and this is where we kind of dive into this idea that we're living in a plasma ocean.
Ah, plasma ocean. Okay, now I'm really lost. What does that even mean?
He suggests that what we think of as empty space is actually filled with plasma.
Okay.
A state of matter beyond solid, liquid, and gas.
Okay.
And he believes this plasma is teeming with unseen beings, or plasma creatures.
Wait, is he saying there are like invisible beings all around us made of this plasma stuff? Is he talking about like ghosts, aliens?
It's not quite that simple. He connects this idea to the concept of nature spirits.
Okay.
And other entities that exist beyond our normal senses.
So like fairies and gnomes?
Well, maybe not exactly like that, but the sources include anecdotes about people who claim to have witnessed these beings.
Okay.
Including a researcher named Jay.
Okay.
He says that. He says that these beings appear as like swirling, luminous forms.
Okay.
Kind of like living energy.
Right.
He even describes interacting with them and receiving information or guidance.
Okay, that's pretty wild. But if these beings exist, why can't we all see them?
Well, Winter suggests that our perception is limited by our senses and our beliefs.
Okay.
It's like we're tuned into a specific frequency, and we can only perceive things that vibrate on that same frequency.
Okay.
But he believes there are other realities and beings existing on frequencies we're not normally aware of.
So it's not that these beings aren't real, it's that we're not equipped to perceive them.
Exactly.
Kind of like how we can't see radio waves, but they're still all around us.
Exactly. And this ties into a recurring theme we've been exploring.
Right.
This idea that there's more to reality than meets the eye.
Yeah.
And that by expanding our consciousness, we might be able to access these hidden realms.
This is all incredibly fascinating, but I have to admit it's a lot to take in.
It is.
And speaking of things that are hard to wrap your head around earlier, we were talking about Dan Winter's views on geopolitics and the possibility of extraterrestrial influence.
Right.
He mentioned a good guys versus bad guys situation happening on like a cosmic scale.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. So to kind of delve deeper into that aspect, one perspective that is presented in these sources comes from Elena Danaan, who claims to be in contact with extraterrestrial beings. She talks about this entity named Anki, also known as Thoth or Hermes in other traditions returning to Earth. And she connects this event to the significance of the number 9.
The 9, is that some kind of powerful group of ETs?
That's how it's presented in these sources.
Okay.
Winter has even made films exploring the plasma physics behind this supposed return.
Interesting.
And while the specifics might sound pretty out there, it connects to a broader idea that's been floating around, that there are different ET factions with their own agendas, vying for influence over humanity.
So we're not just talking about like a simple aliens are here scenario,
right?
But a more complex situation with different ET groups.
Right.
Some maybe with good intentions, others maybe not so much.
Right.
Kind of like a cosmic soap opera.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
And some of the sources get even more specific.
Okay.
They claim that a group of beings called the Nabu Greys infiltrated the U.S. government back during the Eisenhower administration.
Okay.
They say that these beings can shapeshift.
Wow.
And have been manipulating events from behind the scenes ever since.
Shape-shifting aliens infiltrating the government. Okay, now, I'm not sure if we're deep diving or diving into some wild conspiracy theories. Is there any evidence to support this idea, or is it just speculation?
Well, it's definitely a controversial claim.
Okay.
But what's interesting is that this narrative connects to real-world events.
Okay.
For instance, the alleged suicide of Admiral Borda.
Okay.
This high-ranking Navy official is something that some people believe was actually an assassination orchestrated by these supposed alien infiltrators.
Wow. So they're suggesting these aliens have been pulling the strings at the highest levels of government for decades.
That's what they're saying.
That's a pretty unsettling thought.
It is.
And the sources go even further.
They do.
Claiming that the Air Force was one of the first branches of the military to be infiltrated.
Right.
While the Navy supposedly has managed to resist this influence to a greater extent. So there's a secret war going on, not just between humans and aliens, but within the U.S. military itself.
Yeah.
This is getting pretty complex.
It is. But here's where it gets even more intriguing.
Okay.
The sources suggest that there's a secret group within the Navy.
Okay.
That's actively fighting against these negative ET influences.
Okay.
Protecting humanity from these threats.
Wait, so there are good aliens helping us fight the bad aliens? Now, this is definitely sounding like a science fiction movie plot.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But the sources present this as a real possibility, suggesting that this group has been working in the shadows to keep us safe.
Wow.
They even connect this to the development of advanced technologies.
Okay.
Hinting that the Navy might be secretly collaborating with inventors whose patents have been suppressed for national security reasons.
So there are all these brilliant minds out there creating incredible inventions, but their work is being hidden from the public because of this secret war with aliens.
That's the suggestion.
That's wild. Yeah. Where does that leave us, the average person, in all of this? What can we do if all of this is happening behind closed doors?
That's a great question, and it brings us back to something we discussed earlier, the importance of understanding the soul.
Okay.
And the plasma world that surrounds us.
Okay, back to the soul in this plasma ocean. Earlier you mentioned that the plasma realm is filled with these unseen beings.
Yeah.
But how does understanding all of that help us in the face of this cosmic drama with secret government agencies and different alien factions?
Well, remember Winter's point about technology advancing faster than our spiritual maturity.
Right, like we're playing with fire without really understanding the consequences.
Exactly, and the sources suggest that understanding the soul, its connection to the plasma realm, and the potential for spiritual growth, could be the key to bridging this gap.
Okay.
They argue that by developing our inner awareness and expanding our consciousness, we become more aligned with the forces of good in this cosmic struggle, whether those forces are good aliens or simply a higher aspect of ourselves.
So it's not just about developing technology, but also about evolving our consciousness.
Yeah.
We have to grow spiritually to keep pace with our technological advancements.
Precisely, and this connects back to the idea of being a generalist.
Right.
Someone who can see the connections between different fields of knowledge.
Yeah.
Instead of just focusing on our narrow areas of expertise, we need to broaden our horizons and see the bigger picture.
So we need to be open-minded, curious, and willing to learn from a variety of sources.
Yeah.
Not just from mainstream science or traditional spirituality.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the sources point to Dan Winter and Jay as examples of generalists who have integrated knowledge from many different disciplines
Right.
to gain a deeper understanding of reality.
Yeah.
They encourage you to explore a wide range of subjects, from physics and history to alchemy and esoteric traditions, to gain a more complete picture of the world and your place within it.
It's like we need to become detectives of reality.
Yes.
Piecing together clues from different fields of knowledge to understand what's truly going on.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating challenge.
It is, and it's a challenge that requires us to question our assumptions and be willing to embrace new perspectives,
Right.
even if they seem strange or unconventional at first.
Right. Well, we've certainly encountered some unconventional ideas in this deep dive.
We have.
From plasma beings and secret government agencies to the manipulation of time and the return of ancient gods.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to process, but it's also incredibly stimulating.
It is, and it makes you wonder what other mysteries might be out there waiting to be discovered.
This whole conversation has been a real eye-opener for me. I feel like I've learned more about the nature of reality in the past hour than I have in years.
Yeah.
It's a lot to digest.
It is, and it brings us to a fascinating concept raised in the sources, the nature of the end of the world.
Okay.
They suggest that it might not be a fiery apocalyptic event as often depicted, but rather a collective shift in consciousness.
Okay, so instead of a global catastrophe, we're talking about like a more subtle internal transformation. What does that even look like?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
They even use the term plasma ascension,
Okay.
suggesting that we might collectively evolve into a higher state of being.
Plasma ascension. So do we all become like those plasma beings we were talking about earlier?
Well, maybe not exactly like them,
Right.
but the idea is that we could tap into a higher level of consciousness
Okay.
and maybe even transcend our current physical limitations.
Wow, that's a pretty optimistic view of the future, especially considering all the challenges we're facing right now.
Yeah.
It's definitely something to think about, but is there any indication of how this plasma ascension might happen or what triggers it?
The sources don't provide specific details, but they emphasize that the key might not be some external event, but rather our own internal evolution.
So what if the real danger isn't some outside threat like aliens or climate change,
Right.
but our own lack of spiritual maturity?
That's a possibility worth pondering.
Yeah.
The sources suggest that if we continue down the path of technological advancement without also developing our inner awareness and compassion, we could create a world that's unsustainable and deeply unhappy.
So we need to find a way to balance our technological progress with our spiritual growth. Otherwise, we risk creating a dystopian future where we have all the gadgets in the world, but no real sense of purpose or connection.
Exactly. And the sources emphasize that this isn't just about individual growth. It's about a collective shift in consciousness.
Right.
They argue that we need to find a way to come together as a species.
Yeah.
To recognize our interconnectedness and to work towards a future that benefits all of humanity, not just a select few.
It's not just about me and my spiritual journey, but about creating a more harmonious and sustainable world for everyone.
Exactly.
That's a powerful message.
It is, and they suggest that understanding the nature of the soul, the plasma realm, and the potential for spiritual evolution could be crucial in achieving this vision.
This whole conversation has been incredibly thought-provoking. I'm starting to see how all these seemingly disparate ideas, immortality, lucid dreaming, the nature of time, and even the existence of extraterrestrial beings are all connected to this deeper core of who we are and what our purpose is in this vast universe.
It's a powerful realization, isn't it? And it brings us back to the importance of being a generalist, of exploring different perspectives, and of always being willing to question our assumptions about the nature of reality.
It's like we've been given a glimpse behind the curtain, a peek into a world that's far more complex and mysterious than we ever imagined.
Right.
And now it's up to us to decide what to do with this knowledge.
Exactly. And that brings us to another crucial point highlighted in the sources.
Okay.
This idea that we're living in a time of great transition.
Okay, a time of transition. What do they mean by that transition to what?
Well, they suggest that we're on the cusp of a major shift in consciousness, the kind of evolutionary leap that could potentially transform humanity and our relationship to the world around us.
So we're standing at a crossroads, and the choices we make now will determine the future of our species.
That's certainly one way to look at it. And they argue that understanding the nature of the soul, the plasma realm, and the potential for spiritual evolution could be crucial in navigating this transition successfully.
So it's not just about surviving, but about thriving in this new reality that's emerging. How can we do that?
The sources emphasize the importance of being open to new ideas, embracing our creativity, and cultivating a sense of wonder and possibility.
So instead of fearing the unknown, we should embrace it with a sense of adventure and curiosity that sounds like a tall order in a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable.
It might feel that way, but the sources remind us that we're not alone in this journey. There are others who are also seeking to understand these mysteries and to create a more harmonious and sustainable future for all. By connecting with others who share our values and aspirations, we can support each other and amplify our efforts.
That's a reassuring thought. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the scale of the challenges we're facing. But knowing that there are others who are working towards the same goals gives me hope.
It's a message of hope and empowerment. Even in the face of these challenges, we're not simply victims of circumstance. We have the power to shape our own destiny, both individually and collectively.
This deep dive has been a roller coaster ride of ideas.
It has.
We've gone from the depths of scientific inquiry to the heights of spiritual speculation, and it's really expanded my understanding of what's possible.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
It has.
And it's amazing to see how all these different threads of knowledge, from physics and ancient traditions to consciousness research and the nature of time, weave together to create a richer and more meaningful tapestry of understanding.
It's definitely given me a lot to think about.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here? What's the next step in this exploration?
Well, that's really up to you. What resonates most with you from everything we've discussed? What questions has this deep dive sparked for your own research and exploration?
That's a good question. I think what intrigues me the most is this idea that we're not just passive observers of reality, but active participants in its creation. If our consciousness can influence the world around us, if we can potentially tap into this plasma realm and connect with unseen beings, that opens up a whole new realm of possibilities.
That's a powerful realization, and it's at the heart of what Dan Winter and many of these other thinkers are trying to convey. We're not just cogs in a machine. We're creators. And the more we understand the nature of consciousness and its relationship to the universe, the more empowered we become to shape our own reality.
It's both exciting and a little daunting to think about the responsibility that comes with that kind of power.
It is. And it brings us back to that question about spiritual maturity. As we explore these new frontiers of consciousness and technology, it's crucial to develop the wisdom and compassion to use these powers wisely.
So it's not just about acquiring knowledge and skills, but also about cultivating our inner world, developing our empathy, and recognizing our interconnectedness with all things.
Exactly, and that's an ongoing journey.
A
process of continuous learning and growth. But as we delve deeper into these mysteries, we may find that the greatest adventure of all is the journey of self-discovery and the exploration of our own infinite potential.
This deep dive has certainly been an adventure. I feel like I've just begun to scratch the surface of all there is to know and experience.
And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
There's always more to discover, more to learn, more to explore. The universe is a vast and mysterious place.
It is.
And the journey of understanding it is a lifelong pursuit.
So if you're listening to this and your mind is buzzing with questions and new ideas, that's a good sign.
It is.
It means you're starting to awaken to the vastness of reality and the infinite potential that lies within you.
And remember, you don't have to have all the answers. The journey itself is the reward.
So true.
The more you explore, the more you'll discover, and the more you'll realize how much there is still to learn.
This deep dive has only scratched the surface. There's a whole universe of knowledge out there waiting to be explored, from ancient wisdom traditions to cutting-edge scientific discoveries. What resonates most with you?
What questions does this spark for your own research and exploration? What if the true end of the world isn't a catastrophic event, but a collective awakening to a higher level of consciousness? What if we're not just witnessing the end of an era, but the birth of a new one, where humanity finally embraces its full potential as a species?
That's a powerful thought to leave you with.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been my pleasure.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep dreaming of a better future until next time.
Yeah, it really is a lot to consider. We've explored so much in this deep dive. The physics of consciousness, the nature of time, the potential influence of extraterrestrial beings, and the crucial role of spiritual growth. It's mind-boggling to think about all the possibilities, especially this idea of a collective shift in consciousness that could, change everything.
Absolutely. And what strikes me is that this isn't just about abstract concepts or theoretical possibilities. It's about us, about how we choose to live our lives and shape the world around us. If we're truly on the verge of a major evolutionary leap, as these sources suggest, then our choices both individually and collectively become even more significant.
So how do we navigate this transition? We've talked about being open-minded, embracing new ideas, and cultivating a sense of wonder. But with so much information and so many different perspectives out there, it can be hard to know where to even begin. You're right, it can feel overwhelming. But I think the key is to start with what resonates most deeply with you, what excites you, what inspires you, what questions keep you up at night. Those are the threads you can start pulling on the paths you can begin to explore.
So it's not about finding the right answer or following a prescribed set of beliefs, but about trusting your own inner compass and allowing your curiosity to guide you.
Exactly. And remember, this isn't a solo mission. There are communities, groups, and individuals all over the world exploring these same ideas, asking these same questions. You can find kindred spirits, share your insights, and learn from each other's experiences.
That's encouraging. It's easy to feel isolated when you're grappling with these huge questions about the nature of reality, but knowing that there's a whole network of people out there on a similar journey is really heartening.
And don't underestimate the power of your own intuition and inner guidance. As you delve deeper into these explorations, you'll likely discover that you have access to a wisdom that goes beyond the rational mind, a knowing that can guide you on your path.
So it's about trusting ourselves, being open to new possibilities, and connecting with others who share our passion for understanding the mysteries of the universe.
That's a great way to sum it up. And remember, this is a journey, not a destination. There's no final answer, no ultimate truth to be grasped. The joy is in the exploration itself, in the continuous unfolding of understanding and the expansion of consciousness.
This deep dive has certainly sparked a sense of wonder and excitement in me. I feel like I've only just begun to glimpse the vast potential that lies within us and the incredible possibilities that await us as we evolve as individuals and as a species.
That's wonderful to hear, and I hope that this sense of wonder and possibility stays with you long after this deep dive is over. It's the fuel that drives us forward, the spark that ignites our creativity and inspires us to create a world that reflects the beauty and harmony we know is possible.
Thank you for guiding us through this incredible exploration. It's been a truly mind-expanding experience.
It's been my pleasure, and to all of you listening out there, thank you for joining us on this journey. Remember, the world is full of mysteries waiting to be uncovered, and you are the explorer. Trust your intuition, follow your curiosity, and never stop questioning, seeking, and dreaming. Who knows what incredible discoveries await you just around the bend.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring the infinite wonders of the universe both within and around you.